What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Just a quick reminder that next week is Star Wars Celebration. Molly and I will both be going. We'd love to meet with you guys. We're gonna put a video out probably on Wednesday that will talk about what our basic schedule is gonna be. We're gonna have a meetup, probably one with ourselves, and we're also trying to put together one with like a bunch of Star Wars YouTubers. So keep an eye out for that, and also follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with all of our updates and just what we're up to, our reactions, all that kind of thing. And I'll be doing videos throughout Celebration just in response to whatever is announced and what trailers I assume are going to be released. But that's all for next week. Let's get into questions. Gabriel Moody asks if Hayden Christensen could show up in The Last Jedi as a Force Ghost, especially considering he is going to be at Star Wars Celebration. I think about 60% of me right now thinks that, yeah, he's going to be in Episode 8. He will be a Force Ghost, and I would love to see him interacting with Luke or Kylo Ren, and I think that would be a great way to tie the sequel trilogy with the prequel trilogy. There's still 40% of me, though, that is trying to be realistic and not get my hopes up and say that it's totally possible he's just going to be at Celebration because it's the 40th anniversary and he wants to be there to celebrate Star Wars. But still, the majority of me thinks that, yeah, he'll be in The Last Jedi. Josh Thompson Productions wants to know what my most anticipated release that could possibly be announced at Celebration would be. I just want to know what the next anthology film is going to be. With Rogue One behind us, I want to know what's next. I think they're going to do that, and there's rumors that I've talked about, I think last week, that it could be an Obi-Wan film, which would be, of course, huge, something that people have been clamoring for a long time, since they announced that they'd be doing these spin-off movies. So the big thing I want is just another anthology movie to be announced, but if it's Obi-Wan, I'd be all over that. Blake Holt asks if I think the First Order has any more Imperial super weapons in their arsenal, and if we are to see the Eclipse again, is it going to be just a regular Super Star Destroyer, or will it be more like what we saw in Star Wars Legends? For the super weapons, gosh, I hope not. I'm over super weapons. I don't want any more. And I think Lucasfilm knows that most fans feel that way, so I don't think we're going to see any more super weapons from the First Order in the sequel trilogy. As for the Eclipse, everything that we know so far points towards it just being a normal Super Star Destroyer. Nothing really special about it, but they haven't described it all that much, so there's plenty of room for it to have some more similarities with the Legends one. If it is more in line with the Legends Eclipse, I would like to see it toned down a bit. I don't want it to be a super weapon, but I wouldn't mind having it be black and like have that, if it had a big super laser up front, like not a planet killing one, but a big major gun, I'd be cool with that. But for now, I think it's more just a normal SSD. Daniel Charland wants to know how the Alderaanian government worked, especially when it comes to Bail and Breha Organa. Breha was the queen of Alderaan. She was basically the ruler of the planet. Bail was her consort, which just means the spouse of the reigning monarch. He also held the title of viceroy and first chairman, and of course he represented them in the Senate. So he had a lot of power, but he deferred to Breha. Leia was the princess, and I guess technically after the death of Breha, she would have been the queen, but in the chaos of the planet exploding, people probably weren't trying to figure all that out, and what would she be the queen of anyway? And in the Princess Leia comic, she passes her royal status onto Yvonne Verlaine, so all of that stuff right now is a little bit unclear on how it worked, especially in like becoming a queen after being a princess and all that. We don't really know, but as far as Bail and Breha go, it was Breha as the queen and Bail was beneath her as far as leadership went. Lucas de Carvalho Morea asks if there are any errors or inconsistencies in the new canon. So far, I don't think there's anything too glaring or major that I haven't really been able to rationalize with a little hand waving, and I mean, some of it's a bit of a stretch, and I think the thing that I had to stretch the most on comes from Lost Stars, because we follow Sienna Rhee and Thane Kyrell, and they're both part of the Empire, and technically they both should have witnessed the Battle of Scarif, and Thane should have witnessed Jedha. So I kind of had to do some hand-waving there and be like, well, Thane, the Death Star's a big place, so he may have been just on the other side of the Death Star when it blew up Jedha City. And he may have just, like, not been on duty when the Battle of Scarif happened. And really, those were kind of minor events for the Death Star. No one was assembled to see the destruction of Jedha City. It only popped in for the end of the Battle of Scarif. So it's possible that Thane just missed those events. And then, sure, rumors would have reached him, but it's like only a day or two later that they blow up Alderaan. And he was assembled to witness that. He saw it. So to me, it's just like, okay, he just missed that stuff, which, again, it feels like a bit of a stretch, but it's not a huge glaring error in my eyes, and I can't think of anything else beyond that really makes me go like, oh, that is just directly wrong when you look at this piece of information. So, I can't think of any, but if you guys think of any, put them in the comments, and I'll try to rationalize them too. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon and I left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you some access to extra Star Wars Explained goodies like archived live streams and monthly giveaways, and the combined donations really go a long way in helping support the channel. On to YouTube questions. 1065 Chris asks why there were so many humans in the rebellion, considering the Empire's anti-alien philosophies. Like, wouldn't you think that more aliens would want to sign up to fight the Empire? The boring answer is budgeting. It's just less expensive to have a bunch of human characters than it is to make a bunch of Mon Calamari costumes. But in universe, I would argue that the species that would want to sign up, like let's say Wookiees, they would probably definitely be a part of the rebellion, but their home world was occupied, they were forced into slavery, so I imagine that was pretty normal for a bunch of alien species. Humans, on the other hand, weren't really oppressed, so it was probably just easier for them to rise up and fight against the Empire, especially early on, and then as we see them gain more and more power, we see them gain more and more support from their alien allies. Oliver P. Attila wants to know if we're going to see Wedge in The Last Jedi. I'm 50-50 on this. Dennis Lawson is coming to Star Wars Celebration, which is a surprise because he's been kind of notoriously grumpy about Star Wars in the past. He turned down a cameo in The Force Awakens because he said the role would bore him. But it's possible that he could be changing his tune. It's possible that coming to Celebration could be a sign of things to come, just like Hayden Christensen. But this one, like, I'm a lot less sure on. I mean, I'm not even sure about Hayden, but in Wedge's case, like, I feel like there's a lot more going against it. That said, of course, I would love to see Wedge again. I love him as a character, and even despite the actor's attitude, I would welcome him back. Dan Films Limited asks if there are any fast food restaurants in Star Wars. Power Sliders from the Clone Wars comes to mind. That's where Gregor worked at after he lost his memory. And there's a takeout noodle place in Heir to the Jedi, so I don't know if you would consider them fast food, but they're at least close enough that I would think that, yeah, there's fast food in Star Wars somewhere out there. Emerald Reader wants to know what Legends character is most likely to come back. I've done a whole video on this, but I still firmly believe that Revan is going to come back. It's just a matter of time. The character is immensely popular. He was almost in the Clone Wars. I think Lucasfilm, they definitely respect the character, or else they wouldn't have almost put him in the Clone Wars. I mean, they went so far as to storyboard that scene out, and then the scene was just deleted. So he was so close to being canon already. I think at the very least we're going to get a mention of the guy at some point. Nick Goopteal asks why K2SO took multiple shots to the body without shutting down, while that same droid model on Jedha went down after taking only one. I can't remember where I read this, but I know that the filmmakers said that they were very careful to make sure that K2SO on Scarif never took a hit to that exact same spot. So basically, Jyn just got a very lucky or a very precise shot that put that one droid down immediately. That's all the time I have for questions this week. If you want to leave me one for next week, just put it in the comments below or join Patreon so you can be a part of our weekly Q&A discussion. And if your questions happen to be celebration related, that's even better. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.